I don't want to say this is a crystal ball, but I tell you what, it's coming pretty close. Now, Jeff is a professional stock options and futures trader, and he's got over 20 years of experience trading a variety of markets. His successful career led him to create Altos Trading, and he has a specific goal of helping others achieve their financial freedom through the consistent application of profitable trading strategies that are effective regardless of market conditions. And that's really the theme of what we're doing here. We're talking about strategies that can work regardless of market conditions, and the ones we have right now are quite volatile. Now,
we're in a condition. We're in a condition. That's
we are definitely in a condition, and I think this condition might require another Corona Light later on.
I'm just gonna steadfast right here. Look, if you put it in front of you, they can see it. If you drive it over here, it disappears into market condition land.
I know, it just materializes. But anyway, as I said, you know, Jeff is here, and one of the things that he basically attributes his success to is the fact that he has this ability to have a good feel for what the market is going to do. So he's going to be sharing, identifying those high probability buy areas and uptrends, high probability sell areas and downtrends, and a strategy that works in any market, time frame, and direction. So with that, let's welcome Jeff to the summit. Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, thanks. Thanks, Raleigh.
Hey, Jeff, what's up?
Hey, Jeanette, how are you?
Man, it's been a minute.
Man, I'm in the wrong place. I need to be hanging out with you guys.
We can arrange to have something for you.
Ship you some Corona.
Oh,
Don't
man.
tell anybody. I think that's illegal, but
Well,
right.
right. Well, happy Cinco de Mayo.
All right, you should be able to share your screen, Jeff.
Yeah, let me get it here. How's it look?
I see it.
All right.
All right. Can everybody see it? Y'all put it in the Zoom chat. Let us know that you can see Jeff's presentation. You can hear him. We got 2 to go, ladies and gents. And I've heard Jeff give this, and it's really good. I've had him on my premiere spot at TradeThirsty before. This is going to really be amazing. So I hope you have time to stick around for the next hour. All right.
Absolutely.
Looks like they got you.
All right, excellent. Happy, and hopefully you can see the slide advancing. Do you see the disclaimer?
Yes, I see the disclaimer.
Okay, all right, good. That's usually the one problem I have is my slides don't advance sometimes. So that's a good start. All right. Well, thanks again for having me. You know, this is a really great opportunity and certainly a timely opportunity to learn some tips and tricks to navigate these market conditions. I think last time I checked the VIX earlier this morning, it was hovering around 3250. So it still remains quite elevated despite the rebound in the market that we've seen over the last month. So I'm going to give you guys some really great tips and tricks and tools that I use in my own trading and in my hedge fund to navigate these conditions. And I think you guys are going to get a lot out of this today. So you can see I've got the disclaimer up to make the attorneys happy. Basically, we are going to be going over some educational information to help you guys with your trading. And that includes trading performance numbers and such. And so basically you don't want to be taking anything that I teach you guys today as personal individual trade advice. So with that out of the way, let's talk about first why the markets are so difficult to trade. And again, this is a timely bit of information considering current market volatility and just how difficult the conditions are to navigate. And really what I tell my students, and I currently have about 30,000 students in over 100 countries across the globe that we mentor and coach. And I tell all of them that really a lot of it can be boiled down to math. And this is a good example or analogy really to share in terms of why that is the case. And so I relate it to a deck of playing cards because it's something that we're all familiar with, right? We've all played with a deck of playing cards at some point in our lives, and we know that there's 52 cards in a deck. And so it's interesting when we apply the math to a deck of playing cards to the markets in terms of the randomness of outcomes. And believe it or not, if you shuffle a deck of cards randomly, there's a high chance that it's going to come out in an arrangement that's never existed before. And that's because there's an astronomically large number of possible combinations. And so believe it or not, there's more ways to arrange a deck of cards than there are total atoms on Earth. And that boils down to a 69-digit number. Okay, so really a huge astronomically large number of possible combinations. And so if you think about this in the context of the markets, you can imagine how many possible combinations or outcomes can occur in the equities market, right? There's far more than 52 inputs into the market. And so therefore predicting an outcome with any degree of accuracy can be extremely difficult. And in fact, it's one of the main reasons that many systems and strategies fail over the long term, because they revolve around a set of very specific rules in an environment that is extremely dynamic. And that's playing out, as we speak with current market conditions. So rapidly changing market conditions, extremely dynamic market environments, and an astronomically large number of possible outcomes in the market make it very difficult. But there is a method that overcomes this drawback to the markets, and it works regardless of how the cards are dealt. And it's a method I use in my own trading to make a living myself, as well as in my hedge fund. And I'm going to share it with you guys today. So let me show you. Here's what I'm going to give you and what you'll walk away with by the end of our session. I'll show you how to use one indicator to predict markets in any time frame. And yes, this is a predictive indicator. It's not a lagging methodology. And I'll show and explain why here in just a minute. I'm going to show you the correct way to use it to make money in the markets. And by the way, this is available for free on virtually any retail trading platform. I'll show you exactly when to buy and when to sell. I'll show you how to identify when momentum is shifting and a new trend is starting. Probably most importantly, we'll discuss how to eliminate the majority of your losing trades, because we can all put on a trade that makes money. We can all put on a trade that loses money. It's virtually inevitable that both outcomes will occur. But if you can imagine eliminating most of your losing trades and keeping the profits from your winning trades, that's what really makes the biggest difference in your bottom line. And we'll talk about that. The beauty is, behind everything that I'm going to discuss today and the methodology that I use, it doesn't matter what market you trade. It doesn't matter what time frame you trade. It works in all markets and all time frames. And I'll explain why in a second. But whether you trade stocks, futures, forex, or options, this methodology will allow you to do so with consistency. We'll go over some trade examples, and then I'll show you guys how you can copy my success and get my trade signals I use to make a living in the markets, and that I also use in my hedge fund. All right, so I want you guys to imagine if you could have predicted every major market sell-off in the history of the market. This is a bold statement, but it's the truth, and it's verifiable. And the one momentum indicator that I'm going to go over with you guys today and show you how to use, it actually predicted the recent Corona crash on February 21st. And it did so in advance, and I'll show you how. It also predicted all 4 corrections in 2018. If you guys were trading back in 2018, that was another rough market environment. And I'm going to show you guys how this indicator could have warned you ahead of time of the 4 corrections we saw that year. It predicted the flash crash of 2015 an entire day before it happened. It predicted the 10% correction in October 2014, and it did so an entire 2 weeks before the sell-off. It also predicted the crash in July of 2011, several days before the bears began driving prices down. And it predicted the major sell-off in 2008 when the market lost more than half its value. That was a bad one. And in fact, it's interesting that although the magnitude and severity of the crash was unprecedented that we saw in February, March, but we actually didn't even lose the percentage of value in the market that we lost back in 2008, at least not yet. I think there's a good chance we'll retest the lows, and we'll talk about that in our session today and how to be prepared for it. So let's talk about one single indicator that predicted the 4 major market declines of 2018. I like to use 2018 as a case study because it's still fairly recent, and we'll look at the Corona crash here in a bit as well, because that's certainly much more recent. But this is a great case study because it was a little bit unprecedented in terms of the number of corrections that we saw within a given calendar year. So this is a chart of the S&P 500, the SPX. It's a daily chart, and I'm going to show you where these corrections occurred, and we'll then dig into the indicator and how it predicted these. So the first correction we saw in late February into March of 2018. And this was a pretty severe sell-off. We topped out about 2,900 on the S&P and saw a mean reversion into the 200-day moving average down to about 2,600. And keep the price action of these charts in mind as we get into more current market conditions, because you'll notice that there's a lot of the same sort of price action behavior that transpires in these types of panic and fear modes that occur in the markets. And you'll see that after that first correction, we kind of go into a sideways ranging market before topping out around 2,800 and seeing another mean reversion into the 200-day moving average. So this was the third correction in March. And then we go into this nice uptrend. And it tends to be off these all-time highs where we really see steep sell-offs. And so in October, we see another one. We hit an all-time high on the S&P at 2940 and some change. And this time we sold off below the 200-day moving average. And you'll notice what happens right after that. We go into that very almost identical, very similar ranging price action. If you look back earlier in the year on the chart, it's very similar. And then we go into our last sell-off of the year. This one almost put us into bear market territory, topping out around 2,800 and selling off nearly to 2,300 on the S&P, okay? So we're gonna come back to this chart in a little bit, and we'll talk about how to predict these sell-offs. Remember, the methodology and indicator I'm gonna teach you guys today, and you'll discover how I use it, is predictive in nature. So we'll show how we can predict these. So before we get into that, a little bit about myself. If you guys have not attended any of my past educational presentations, I am the Chief Investment Strategist at Altos Trading, as Raleigh kindly introduced me. And I do have 20 years of experience trading the stock options and futures markets. I started when I was 5. And I do have professional training. I received my professional training at Morgan Stanley, where I studied under some traders at the trade desk there. And I also, as I mentioned, founded our company about 5-6 years ago to help aspiring traders shorten the learning curve and achieve success earlier on. For me, it took well over a decade to become consistently profitable. And I know the struggles and turmoil and things that come along with that, constantly, making money and losing it and making it back and losing it again and really getting nowhere. And I know the frustration that comes with that. So my goal is to help people shorten the learning curve and get past that to become consistently profitable in the markets. And we've helped over 30,000 members across the globe, again, in over 100 countries around the world achieve that. And it's really gratifying to be able to do that. I'm also the hedge fund manager at Altos Capital. So I do manage a hedge fund, and the fund has done very well this year. We're beating the S&P despite the 30% sell-off that we saw about a month ago. So the methodologies, again, that you're gonna discover with me today, a lot of them I use in my hedge fund. So I'm excited for you guys to learn that. And I'm also the founder and creator of the Trade Trend Signal software, and I'll be talking to you guys a little bit about that today. So by the end of our session, you're gonna discover how you can use one simple indicator to accurately predict whether the market is likely to go up or down. And you can do so over the next few days or even weeks. And when I say market, I'm talking about any market. I'm talking about stocks, futures, Forex, options, whatever you trade. And better yet, you can have access to the powerful information up to 5 days in advance. It really does that. In fact, sometimes it does better. Sometimes it gives you a week or even 2 weeks in advance. And regardless of whether you're just getting started or you're already a seasoned pro, and we teach and coach and mentor people of all skill levels and all experience levels, but it works and it's must-have information to make money in the markets. So you'll discover why momentum is so vital to trading success, how to read momentum shifts and continuations, and this will completely turn your trading around because it's leading in nature. Momentum is a leading indicator. We're looking for future momentum trends and shifts, and it's leading information. We don't want to be looking at past lagging information. So we'll talk about how to use it as a leading indicator and not a lagging indicator, and how it can predict market moves. And then I'll show you guys how to get your hands on a tool that will change your trading forever. And I say that with the utmost sincerity because it has truly changed my trading forever. And so we're going to start out by talking a little bit about momentum. And so I want you guys to imagine a bowling ball. It seems like maybe an odd thing to have on a presentation about trading. And it actually is very relevant to the markets because it's something that we are all familiar with, and we can apply the momentum methodology that occurs in day-to-day life and day-to-day activities to the markets. And once we do that and can make that connection, the shift in our approach and our thoughts and the way that we trade the market can really be dramatic. And so with a bowling ball, we all know what happens when you bowl the ball down the lane. It continues to go down the lane until something stops it. And this is what's referred to as linear momentum in physics. So basically what it is it's the property or tendency of a moving object to continue moving. So like a bowling ball that rolls down the lane, we know that with a high degree of accuracy that it's going to keep moving until something stops it, whether you hit the pins or you're like me and it goes in the gutter. Hopefully you get a strike, and I'm going to show you guys how you can get that strike in the markets using this methodology and applying it to the markets. Because basically linear momentum also occurs on any market, on any chart that you look at. And that's basically what you're seeing on the chart is a trend or a momentum continuation or a shift in momentum. And so keep this analogy in mind as we talk about linear momentum, because it will help you understand the predictive nature of the momentum indicator that we're going to talk about. And so here's why it's so important in trading. Before we understand the importance, we need to have a basic understanding of how it's calculated. So basically, you calculate momentum by taking price differences for a fixed time period compared to current price levels. And basically, a momentum value above 0 indicates prices are moving up, and below 0 indicates that prices are moving down. And what this means is that you can actually pinpoint areas where trend reversals are highly likely to occur. The beauty is, although we're focusing on our session today on market volatility and extreme market conditions and sell-offs, it also works on the way up. So a lot of you are probably familiar if you have a background in economics or familiar with basic economics, that what is often referred to as a V-shaped recovery or a W-shaped recovery or L-shaped recovery. These are all basic price patterns in economies that basically explain how a market recovers after a sell-off. And the stock market or the options market or futures market is no different. And we often see these types of V-shaped recoveries in the markets. So you can actually make money with this indicator on the way up. So you'll notice on this chart in the center that I have, I think it's a chart of a SPY, just a daily chart here. You see the sell-off on the left side of the chart. And there's a steep sell-off from around 285 down to about bottoming out around 255. And then you'll notice that there's a shift in momentum. This is a V-shaped recovery in the market. And then the trend reverses and goes back the other way. And this is what a momentum shift looks like in the market. And in fact, where I have that arrow is where the indicator that we'll look at here in just a minute predicted the momentum shift, the trend change. So we're just about to get into the indicator. There are just basic background on momentum indicators. Probably I would estimate a couple dozen different ones on today's retail trading platforms. So I'll show you some examples, ones you've probably been exposed to or even used in your own trading that are common. The first is the average directional movement index. This one is basically used to measure trend or strength of a trend. It's often referred to as the ADX. And by the way, these indicators, there are really countless ways to use each of them. They all have slightly different inputs, different metrics that they look at in terms of gauging momentum. And what it really comes down to is how do we implement this in a live trading environment? And that's where things can become challenging. But each of these has their strengths and weaknesses. So one's not necessarily better than the other. It's really about how you use them. And certainly when we're combining momentum indicators, that can be where things can become a little challenging. So the next one is the Commodity Channel Index. This is often referred to as the CCI. It's been around a long time. It's a good momentum indicator. It's often used as an oscillator to gauge overbought, oversold market conditions. But basically what it does is it measures the relation between price and normal deviations from a moving average. And the third is the MACD. I'm sure many of you have heard of this one. It reveals changes in the strength, direction, momentum, and duration of trend in a security's price. So this is a very versatile momentum indicator. And last but not least is the Relative Strength Index. This one's referred to as the RSI. and it's used to chart the current and historical momentum strength or weakness of a security based on the closing prices of a specified trading period. So this one oftentimes is used as an overbought, oversold indicator as well, but truly at its most fundamental mechanics is a momentum based indicator. So these are all great momentum indicators, and they all have their strengths and weaknesses. And we're going to focus on one of these four that really does a phenomenal job at predicting and giving leading information in terms of momentum shifts and continuations in the markets. And that's the MACD. So we're going to talk about how to use the MACD, which stands for the moving average convergence divergence, to predict market moves. Because again, there are a lot of ways to implement this indicator, but where it becomes challenging is how to do that in live market environment and use the information that we're getting from the indicator to make trading decisions. And that's what I'm going to help you guys with. So if you haven't used the MACD, and I'm sure many of you have, it's again short for moving average convergence divergence. It's a trading indicator using technical analysis of stock prices. Is how it was originally developed by Gerald Appel back in the 70s. But again, it can be applied to any market in any time frame. But the beauty of it is it reveals changes in the strength, direction, momentum, and duration of a trend in a security's price. So just a quick X in the chat box. I'm curious how many of you guys have used the MACD indicator at some point in your trading, or the Q&A box, whatever is more convenient for you. Yeah, so it looks like many of you have at some point used the MACD. Sharon, yep, Tom, yep, Jennifer, many of you guys have used it. So there are a lot of ways to use it. We're going to be looking at one specific way, and that's the MACD cross. So the MACD cross gives buy and sell signals when the MACD line crosses above the signal line. And a sell signal is generated when the MACD line crosses below the signal line. So I still see a lot of people are still putting in, they use the MACD, Thomas, Vince. I'm going to show you guys a unique way to use it with the cross, because a lot of people use the cross for buy and sell signals, but there are some inherent challenges to that, and there's an easier way to do it that I'm going to reveal to you here in just a second. So first, before we do that, let's go back to that chart that I told you we look at again of the S&P 500 encompassing 2018. Again, daily chart, and we're going to look at the MACD in relation to those market corrections. And you can notice that I've got that plotted, that indicator plotted at the bottom of the chart now this time. And we'll see that there are crosses that are occurring on the MACD relative to the shifts in momentum in the market. And we see that this first one occurred right here near the top of the first correction in the January-February timeframe of 2018. And by the way, where these crosses occur, the slope of the cross, where they occur relative to the zero line, the distance, whether between the two lines, whether they're converging or diverging, are all significant. We don't have enough time today to get into the nuances of those types of things, but I just want you to see the predictive nature of the cross relative to the move in the market. And you'll notice there are many of them on the chart here, but again, we'll focus on these in the context of the major corrections. And so there's the second major one in March, and you can see the cross occurred again. They're fairly close to the zero line, but about the same slope and severity as that first one in January and February. And we go into this nice steady uptrend. And this one was a lot more difficult to read. The lines were more horizontal and close together, but the cross did give us actually pretty darn good warning there about a week ahead of time before that correction in October. And then lastly, the fourth major correction, the one that almost put us into bear market territory that year. This one occurred below the zero line and didn't get it quite at the top, but gave us a pretty good warning that there was a potential sell-off in the market. So pretty cool, right? Well, the challenge with the MACD is that, and Sue said, I've never understood it. Yeah, so I'm going to help you understand it, and I'm going to help you use it in a much easier way. Because the problem is, you can see with a lot of these crosses, while some are easy to see, some are not as easy. But the problem is, when you're trying to implement this in a live trading environment, it can become very challenging because the lines can cross over and over again. So here's here's how we make it easier, and that's with the MACD histogram. So the lines can be confusing, as you can see here in the middle of the chart when you're getting multiple crosses and the lines are horizontal and close together. How many of you guys have used the MACD histogram? Just put a yes in the chat box or in the Q&A. Yeah, so a few. Sharon says yes, Bob yes. A few people, not as many as the standard histogram, or sorry, the standard indicator. But this is an easier way to interpret the MACD with the histogram. And again, this is available on retail trading platforms. It's just another way of visualizing and giving basically the visualization of the buy and sell signals that you get from the standard MACD indicator, which, by the way, I used the default settings on. You can see there that I used the 12/26/9 settings with the exponential average. But basically with the MACD histogram, it makes it easier to incorporate the accuracy of the momentum shifts and momentum continuations in an easier to read format. And so basically we get a sell signal when the histogram goes from green to red, and we get a buy signal when it goes from red to green. So see how much easier that is? We simply wait for the candle in our selected time frame to finish printing. And if the histogram has shifted one way or the other, either from green to red or red to green, we know with a high probability of accuracy which way the market is going to go in the near term. So let's look at it in action. This is a chart of Momo. This is a stock that I've traded frequently in the past, and simply a daily chart. And it's got the MACD histogram plotted at the bottom of the screen. You see we go from red to green. This is the buy signal, okay? And you'll see the nice leading information that it gives us in terms of predicting the uptrend in this stock. And then it goes from green to red. This is telling us this might be a good time to take profits on our position, or begin scaling out of our position to wait for another buy signal. And the stock lost some momentum there. It kind of went sideways and sold off, from around $31 a share down to about $28 a share over the course of a few days. But we quickly got another buy signal, a shift from red to green, telling us it's now safe to get back into the stock. And the uptrend continues until we get another sell signal, telling us another good opportunity to scale out or go to cash, take profits on our position. We get a pretty significant sell-off over the course of a few days, but still short-lived until we get another buy signal. The red to green tells us it's now safe to get long, and the uptrend resumes. So see the predictive nature of this indicator in terms of leading information that it gives us on future momentum. That's pretty incredible. And you can look at this on virtually any chart in any time frame and see how it works. Tiffany says, I never knew how to use it. Yeah, this is really a great, simple, easy way to use it. Even if you're new to trading, this will make things much, much easier for you. And now I'm going to give you guys another quick trick to combine with this that I use in my personal trading and in my hedge fund. And it's a specific type of order that when you combine with the MACD, will even increase your odds of success further. Remember how I talked about early on in our session, eliminating most of your losing trades. Well, this will help eliminate a lot of the false signals you get with the MACD, and that's using a buy stop or a sell stop order to confirm momentum direction. So basically use a buy stop order to enter long trades and a sell stop order to enter short trades, and that helps filter out a lot of the false signals and improve the consistency and profitability of the indicator. So basically, when you get a shift from red to green, you would put your buy stop order above the candle in your selected time frame. And if you get a shift from green to red, you would put your sell stop order to go short whatever you're trading, and you put the sell stop order below the candle to go short in your selected time frame. And that way, if you get a false signal and you don't get follow through and the market quickly reverses, you don't get into the trade. And so it's a really cool little trick you can use in combination. And so Chuma said, so how do you know when it's actually giving a sell signal, not just a pullback? Well, that's why I use this type of order, Chuma, is that it helps eliminate those. And it's not going to eliminate all of them, but it probably cuts back about 60 to 70% of the false signals, which is pretty incredible. So momentum indicators, as I've shown you, obviously can be great if you use them correctly. That's the kind of the catch there. And of course, if they were easy to use and worked correctly every time, virtually every trader would be successful. But that's simply not the case. And I, in fact, spent more than a decade and thousands of hours trying to figure out which ones to use, when to use them, and how to use them most effectively. So a lot of time and blood, sweat, and tears went into researching this, and I did it with real money and live market conditions, not with back testing. I'm kind of against back testing in a lot of ways. It has its values, but there's a lot of limitations to back testing. So I prefer to test all of my theories and methodologies in live market conditions, and I've done that with this combination. And in fact, once I got the settings dialed in, I had to formulate them to work on all time frames and duplicate the success across all markets. That's the real challenge. And what I did is I developed an adaptable algorithmic formula that has predictive qualities and is not lagging. So again, the problem with most momentum indicators, or really any indicator at all, is that they're either hard to read, they give you false readings or lagging signals, or they even stop working when you need them the most. So I've actually developed a highly effective market adaptive algorithm. So this actually adapts to current market conditions using a unique combination of momentum indicators and proprietary settings. And the unbelievable thing, as I'll show you here in just a minute, is that when you formulate the right combination of indicators and combine them with volatility studies and price action setups, like the little trick I just showed you with the buy stop and sell stop orders, you can actually do a lot better than the MACD by itself. So the MACD can be very effective at predicting future momentum or future trends in the market. But what if you could do even better? And I'm going to show you how. I've developed this algorithm and programmed it into a software called TradeTrend. And what TradeTrend does is it allows you to get in before the MACD signal. And it does it with a proprietary blend of momentum indicators that produces nearly instant profits. And this is a complex algorithm that adapts to market conditions. So to give you a frame of reference, most indicators, if you look at the code, like if you looked at the code for the MACD or a stochastic or an RSI, it's fairly basic. It might, but depending on the trading platform, encompass about 15 to 20 lines of code, depending on the coding language. The TradeTrend code encompasses about 600 lines of code. So that's the incredible power behind this signal algorithm that can predict trends both short-term and long-term with astounding accuracy. And the beauty is it works with stocks, it works with futures, it works with Forex, it works in any market in any time frame that you like to trade. And the reason that it does is because of the methodology behind it. It's momentum-based. And momentum occurs in all time frames, in all markets. It's, again, going back to the linear momentum analogy I used with the bowling ball. And that can be applied regardless of the market and the time frame. The difference between the bowling ball and price action on the chart is the catalyst. It's the buying and selling pressure or the supply and demand. But otherwise, the linear momentum principle is the same. You can also backtest. So for those of you that do like to backtest to see if something works before you apply it in live market conditions with your hard-earned money, you can do that with TradeTrend. You can use it to supercharge your option strategies. We have a lot of members who use TradeTrend to trade options. And in fact, a lot of them that come to us for coaching or mentorship will come to us with some degree of, experience trading the options market. And a lot of them will have traded very complex option strategies like butterflies, iron condors, calendar spreads, ratio spreads, and whatnot. And it's really cool and interesting to see that people are able to simplify their option strategies by taking directional positions, just using calls and puts off of these signals because of the high degree of accuracy. So it's really cool to see that. But ultimately, what this allows you to do is trade like a pro without any guesswork involved. And I'm going to do something now to show you how well the TradeTrend software works in not a hypothetical paper money account, but in a live account. So these are actually screenshots of my live TD Ameritrade account during the market corrections of 2018 that we covered. And this is real money, guys. In the futures market, I trade a lot of my trades are in the futures market. I also, do trade options and equities, but this is something I thought I would share because I'm not doing anything crazy here. This is only off of a daily chart with one contract per trade. And you can see that the profits that I'm able to make using the trade trend signal software, nearly $14,000 profit in a single day, over $3,600 profit in a single day, and over $4,400 profit in a single day during those market corrections. Okay, that's the power of having trade trend working for you and warning you of shifts in market momentum. Okay, so let's look at the trade trend signal versus the MACD and put this in dollar terms. And we'll look at it in the context of options because I know we have a lot of options traders on with us today. The MACD, I don't have it plotted on the screen here, but basically it gave us the buy signal here. This is just the daily chart of the SPY. It gave us the buy signal here kind of in the middle of this uptrend. And if we exited on the MACD, I'll show you where that would have been in a second, but the trade trend algorithm actually picked up the shift in momentum about a week earlier. So let's put that in dollar terms. If we were to get out when the MACD said the momentum is shifting or slowing or moving sideways, and you had bought 10 at the money call contracts, that would have produced a profit of $335 before commissions and fees. So not too bad, right? You would have been in the trade for about 5 days and made a nice little tidy profit. But the power of having trade trend work for you is that if our trade trend members were actually able to get into this trade over a week earlier. And if you had bought 10 at the money call contracts on the trade trend signal, it would have been nearly a $5,000 profit. So that's a big difference in terms of catching the shift in momentum much earlier in that cycle. Let's look at another example. This is a stock that I really like to trade, Micron, ticker MU. This is a daily chart again. And you can see that we get the buy signal here from trade trend. And over the course of the next few weeks, we get the nice uptrend in the stock as the trade trend signal software predicted until we get that sell signal taking us out of the trade. And this was a $6 per share gain. So if you're trading just 1,000 shares, that would have been a $6,000 profit in only 3 weeks. And that was a cherry-picked example. So what I did is I went and picked 6 consecutive trade examples on Micron, buy and sell trades, in probably one of the most difficult times to trade the market, that in quarter of the year in 2018, that Q4 time frame from October to December, when we saw 2 major corrections. And if you had just traded the stock, the Micron stock, on the buy and sell signals, that would have been over a $13,000 profit. If you trade options and you just bought calls and puts on those same signals, that would have been nearly a $7,000 profit on just those 5 consecutive signals. And that would be based on 10 contracts per trade. All right, this is obviously all scalable depending on your account size. Now let's talk about the recent COVID-19 market crash. I know this is at the top of everybody's mind. And we all are probably wondering, how did trade trend predict the COVID-19 market crash? Well, it did predict it. And in fact, it predicted it an entire day before the MACD signal. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but you'll see here in a second why it was. There's the sell signal from trade trend. Okay, and it came in the day after, so it was the day before, I think it was February 20th, we hit an all-time high in the market. And literally the next day, we got a sell signal from trade trend 1 day before the MACD gave us the shift. And you can verify this, go look on your MACD histogram. That one didn't come until the next day. And why is that significant? Because if we had put our sell stop order there at the low of the candle on the next day, where you see the MACD gave us the sell signal on the red dot there, we would have missed that whole gap. Whereas trade trend got us in and got us filled before we had over a 100-point gap down in the market before it really tanked. Okay, and you'll notice there on the right side of the screen, we also got a buy signal at the bottom. So trade trend also picked up the shift in momentum back to the upside in the recent rebound that we've seen. All right, so let's put this one in dollar terms. If you had traded options, this is really an incredible example, and you had just bought one contract, guys, one put contract with a March 20th expiration on that trade trend sell signal. So that would have been an investment of $4,760 on one contract. Look at the profit on this one. If you just followed the signal, over $100,000 in profit on one contract. All right, so this is the power of being able to identify these momentum shifts in the market using trade trend. So again, it works in any market, any time frame, any size account. It provides predictive buy and sell signals before the move occurs. That's key. And it's predicted every market crash in the history of the market with 100% accuracy. There's not much that can do that out there, but I challenge you, if you decide to check out Trade Trend today, to go back all the way to the 1930s during the Great Depression and look at every market correction or crash, every black swan, any event in the market, and you'll see that Trade Trend predicted it. That is incredible. There's not a lot of people that can make that claim, but that's the beauty of it. And so you may have seen other signal softwares before, but I promise you not like this. Let's look at the flash crash if you were trading about a decade ago in 2010. There's the sell signal, the sell warning from Trade Trend. It gave us a warning before the market tanked. Let's look at the more recent flash crash of August 2015. There it is. There's the sell warning, and literally the next day, the market tanked. Let's look at the 2008 recession and the mortgage crisis. We're getting multiple sell signals as the market's topping out, and there's the big one, and then we get two more on the way down, and boom, the market tanks. Let's look at the dot-com bubble. Okay, now we're going back over 20 years. There's the sell signal. We had a nice buy signal. You'll notice that long trade on the left picked up, about 2,000 points there. And by the way, the dot signifies that the trade that the trade hit the suggested entry price. So you'll notice on that previous sell signal, there was no follow through. Remember I told you guys about that buy stop, sell stop trick? So that trade would have not filled, but our signals never disappear off the chart, the warning signals. But this one did trigger. As you see, the next day we hit the sell stop entry price. It gave us the warning, and boom, the market topped out around 4,500, and it caught the whole sell-off down into 1,500. So virtually every system is going to produce winning trades. That's undeniable. The problem is they don't keep you out of the market when conditions are not favorable, and you end up giving back your profits on the losing trades. But until now, that's no longer the case, okay? And here's more proof of it. These are live, actual real money screenshots from my personal TD Ameritrade brokerage account using the signals in the futures market. And you can see the types of profits that are possible. These are all one contract trades, nothing crazy, right off the daily chart. Not doing any crazy day trading. You're more than welcome to do that if it suits your style, but these are simply trades that I spend about 10 minutes a day opening and managing. So here's my promise to you guys. I want to help you guys have days just like these, and I'm going to give you access to a tool that lets you copy my trades. So this is a one-time opportunity to join me to discover how I make consistent income in the markets day after day, week after week, in my hedge fund and in my own personal brokerage account. So here's what I reveal. I give you guys every one of my special techniques and indicators that make profits like this possible with absolutely nothing held back. So you get 12 months of trade trend for stocks, futures, and Forex. You get exact entry and exit signals, as you've seen. You get live interactive trade sessions. In fact, we're going to be holding our next live session next week, and I'll tell you guys how you can join that here in a minute. You get members area access for replays and recorded training sessions. You get full support and personal coaching from me. So I run all the live trade sessions, and I also answer your emails and all the Q&A. So it's not one of my students or employees that run these. Trade adjustments to fix losing trades. We teach all those for option strategies, and you get a list of my most profitable tickers to trade as well. So remember, everything you get with Trade Trend is getting in before the MACD signal. And you saw the power of that in dollar terms, looking at both the options market and the equities market and the futures market. And you get the proprietary blended momentum indicators that produces nearly instant profits with short-term and long-term accuracy in any market, any time frame. You can back test it. You can use it to supercharge your option strategies, and you can trade like a pro without any guesswork involved, literally starting tomorrow. So it really allows you to cut the learning curve, and that is hugely valuable in today's market environments because the market is becoming more and more challenging to trade. I've certainly witnessed that over 20 years. It was once very easy to simply buy a stock and hold on to it and make money. With volatility and changes in how information is exchanged and whatnot, the markets have become more and more difficult to trade. So you really need a good tool on your side to navigate the markets, and Trade Trend can do that for you. So ask yourself, if you were able to avoid the next major market crash and even make money from it, how much would that be worth to you? Or if you're able to trade like the next market sell like a pro, how much would that be worth to you? Or if you had an experienced coach guide you through the next downturn, how much would that be worth to you? We're going to have another sell-off, guys. It's just a matter of time. And we could see a double dip or a retest of the lows in this current sell-off. So I want you guys to be prepared for that. And to do that, we've put together a very special package for this summit that will allow you to use the trade trend signals in your own trading, whether it's for options, futures, Forex, stocks, and regardless of what time frame. So you get 12 months of trade trend, and that's a $1,499 value. You get the live trade sessions I talked about. Again, we're going to be holding our next one next week. I'll give you the date and time here in just a second. That's a $550 value. You get personal coaching from me. That's a $1,997 value. You get exclusive invitation-only Facebook group access to our Facebook group, and that will allow you to interact with our other members that also use the trade trend software. That's a $199 value. You learn trade adjustments to fix losing trades. So we teach a lot of different adjustment techniques for option strategies that can help you mitigate losses or even turn a losing trade into a winner. That's a $900 value. You learn to trade stocks, futures, Forex, and options with consistency, and that's truly priceless. You can't put a price tag on that. Now, I'm going to tell you how you can join here in just a second, and then we'll do some Q&A. If you do decide to join us today, we're taking a limited number of spots, but we're going to throw in a couple bonuses for anyone that gets in on one of our available spots today. The first is my highly acclaimed course, How to Win 97% of Your Options Trades. It's a $595 value. I have over 10,000 students with over 4,500 4- or 5-star reviews. And this is going to be thrown in for free for you if you decide to try out Trade Trend. And then a second bonus we're going to throw in today is How to Create Risk-Free Trades ebook. This is a $97 value. I just recently put the finishing touches on this book this year, and it's a really cool strategy that gives you some tips and tricks to create risk-free trades that I also use in my personal trading and hedge fund. It's a great little technique that you guys can incorporate into any strategy or any market. So those are our bonuses that I'm going to throw in for you guys today. Now, normally we would price this all at over $5,000 if you bought them all individually, but we are putting a very special offer together for the summit today and taking 80% off of that and offering this for only $997. All right, so you get all the lifetime coaching, trade sessions, and then you get 12 months of trade trend, all for that price. But we are going to limit this to 20 seats. We do limit our memberships because we want to make sure that we offer the best customer service in terms of getting you set up and running, and also answering all your questions as you start to use the training and software to actually trade the market. So we don't want to take unlimited members, not be able to help people out. So we're limiting it to 20 seats. And in order to get involved, all you have to do is go to tradetrendlive.com. I believe Raleigh or Jeanette will be putting that in the chat box for you. And you can go ahead and get started. And again, I mentioned our first live trade session will be next week. That'll be Tuesday, May 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Don't worry if you're not able to join. We record everything and it goes into our members area where you get access to all of our previously recorded live sessions in the members area. Okay, so a lot of you probably are wondering, well, what platform is this available on? I see Bob and Tom and Vince and a lot of people asking questions, and we'll get to a Q&A here in a second. But if you decide to use Trade Trend, we have it available on multiple platforms, including Wealth Charts, TradingView, Metastock, NinjaTrader, Thinkorswim, TradeStation. And so regardless of what broker you use, you can choose if it's on your broker, or if you prefer to use it on a web-based platform where you don't have to download anything, we have those options available as well. And again, here are the bonuses we're throwing in. This is my online trading course with over 1,200 4.5-star reviews. Here's the ebook bonus that you're also going to get if you are able to grab one of the 20 spots available today. And I'm going to open it up to Q&A here in just 2 or 3 minutes. So I see there are a lot of questions coming in. I want to make sure that I answer those. First, I'm going to show you a little bit about what some of our members are saying. So Jay Thomas has very impressive results. Well done. Thanks for helping us little guys with small accounts who dream of growing our accounts over time and reaping the benefits of consistent monthly income. Frank says, how refreshing to have someone produce a product that does what it says. I thought it was too good to be true at first, but you've proven me wrong. Thanks, and keep up the good work. And Brian recently wrote in a couple of weeks ago. This was a great testimonial because I worked with Brian as a coaching student over the past couple of years. And he said that last year at one point he was down around $42,000. He was really struggling, but he started to use trade trend in the futures market. And he said he's now happy to report that he's recouped all of those losses, and he's now net positive over $47,000 on his trade trend trades. He said the system has generated almost $90,000 of profits in only 90 days. And the system itself would have generated even higher returns if not for mistakes on his part. He's very thankful to the good Lord for leading him to our system. And I know, I think Brian just trades off the daily chart. So pretty cool. Very happy to get that testimonial from Brian. And Alan says, I've been involved with lots of software testing. TradeTrend seems to do exactly as it says, and so far I could find some nice setups. Alan was one of our early beta testers of TradeTrend. And lastly, Craig says, my first trade paid for the entire package. Nothing ever works for me this fast. I wish I had found you guys last year before the big market dips. So those are just a few of our thousands of positive testimonials I wanted to share with you guys. But really what it comes down to is that it only takes one winning trade to pay for your lifetime membership. So it's more than worth it. And truly, I wish I had something like this available to me 20 years ago when I was just getting started out. And it's made a real drastic difference in my results and in my consistency and profitability. And it allows me to support my family and live the life that I've always wanted and travel the world because of the freedom that it provides. So I want that to happen for you guys as well. And you can start out by going to TradeTrendLive.com. Really being prepared for the next market correction is priceless. So here's my guarantee I'm going to throw in on top of it, and then we'll get to some Q&A. If you don't make money in the first 90 days, I will give you $1,000 to spend on any of our highly acclaimed online trading courses and trade alert services. That's how confident I am in this. And I'll be quite frank with you, of the thousands of people who have used TradeTrend up until this point, no one's ever been able to take us up on this offer. But it does stand, and we're happy to fulfill it if you cannot become profitable in the first 90 days. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to Q&A. And if I don't get to your question, we've got a little bit of time left, so I'm hoping I get to most of them. You can always email us, support@altostrading.com. It's a great way to contact us. We do get hundreds of emails a day, so just give our staff some time to get back to you, but we generally get back within the same day or the next day, if not. We also have a toll-free number on our website if you decide you'd rather try to get a hold of one of our representatives. And then I'll throw the screen back up again of how to get access and claim one of your 20 seats. I see they're filling up fast. We've already about half of them are gone, so we've got about 10 seats left. Go to TradeTrendLive.com, and then I'll go ahead and start answering some questions. I see Johnny asks, are you using the standard 1226.9 MACD? Yep, yeah, that's right, Johnny. Just the standard default settings there. All right, what time periods are you using? Tom asked, what time periods am I using? Tom, I predominantly trade off the daily charts. Again, because of the methodology, it works in any time frame. It's momentum based, but I generally trade off the daily charts. But we have a lot of members who trade intraday as well. Bob's asking how far above the bar. I'm going back on questions here, guys, so I'm guessing you're referring to the buy stop, sell stop orders. That would be, just a few ticks. I usually go a few ticks above and beyond. But the trade trend algorithm I didn't mention actually gives you the exact entry and exit price. So there's no guesswork. You don't have to wonder how far above or below the bar to put your buy stop or sell stop order. Trade trend actually gives you the exact entry price, and it tailors it to current market volatility and conditions using an average true range formula. Okay, so Mary's asking, $997 is for a lifetime membership or for 1 year? So Mary, the $997 is the lifetime membership to all of our live trade sessions, our coaching, our mentorship group, all of our education, our online training. And then that comes with the 12-month subscription of TradeTrend. So if you decide you want to keep using the TradeTrend signals after the first year, we have different options that you can choose from. We have monthly, quarterly, annual subscription options if you decide you want to keep using the TradeTrend signals. Let's see. Swap on says, I enrolled but asking for waiting. What happens? Oh, welcome. Thanks for joining. Yes, you'll get a welcome email here in just a minute. Give us some time to collect, which platform you want to join or receive your signals on, I should say. And we'll work on getting that all set up for you. We've got a lot of people joining. We only have a few seats left here as we're getting close to the end of the hour. So I urge you guys, don't lose your seat. Join while you have the chance to, because we're not going to open this offer back up at $997. Yeah, we've got a few seats left, and just give us some time because we've got to get 20 people set up. So give us, through today and probably by tomorrow, you should be all up and running. And we'll have somebody reach out to you if you have any trouble getting it on your platform. Tucker's asking, do we take PayPal? Yep, we do. You can use PayPal or any major credit card to go ahead and join. All right. I'm going to kind of scroll back here. I mean, there's more questions in here I'm going to be able to answer. So let me just make sure I can get to the relevant ones. There's no name here, it's just a T, but T's asking, does this repaint? Great question. Absolutely not. And if you ever have an indicator that repaints, dump it as fast as you can. TradeTrend does not repaint. Every time the signal is up, it is confirmed by the end of the candle. So you'll receive instructions on that when you join, but basically the signal is valid once the candle finishes printing, and the signal cannot disappear once the candle has finished printing, and it's a confirmed signal. And you can actually go back on the chart in any time frame as far back as you want since the beginning of the market and see that. All right, I'm glad you asked that question. Some of the stuff, you forget to mention. There's a lot of good questions though. So Julie's asking, are these limit orders you manually set up? How to set up the buy stop or sell stop? No, it's a different type of order, Julie, than a limit order. So a buy stop or sell stop order basically tells you to get in at a future price in the direction of the anticipated momentum. So like if you are anticipating going long, you'd use a buy stop order and it will fill you at a higher price than the current market price. The beauty is, like I mentioned, TradeTrend gives you that price for every signal. So if you're trading in a 5-minute chart and it gives you a buy signal, it will tell you in that time frame the exact entry price. And so there's no guesswork. And it also tells you the type of order. So you simply follow the instruction on your screen and enter the order with your broker. Here's T again. T's asking, does this work on shorter time frames? Yes, yeah, it works on any, you can use it all the way down to a tick chart. Works on any time frame. Let's see. Mary's asking, can you put an alert on this indicator? Yeah, Mary, a lot of the platforms allow you to set up alerts. You can run scans as well. So you can scan in your time frame for opportunities. But I know a lot of our members will also set up alerts, like a sound alert or like a bell or something if there's a buy or sell signal in their time frame. This would be, of course, more relevant if you're trading, really short, fast time frames where you're getting a lot of signals. Someone's asking, are these just direction plays with call and puts, no spreads? Actually, it gives you the exact entry price on any stock, futures, or Forex market. If you're using options to trade the signals, it's totally up to you what type of strategy you use. We have members who trade credit spreads with them, vertical debit spreads, just calls and puts. You can really use them to implement any type of option strategy. And that's the real benefit of our live trade sessions is we cover different strategies, including many different option strategies in those live trade sessions to help you to hone in the strategy based on the TradeTrend signals, and then also how to manage them. All right. I've only got a few minutes left. It looks like I've kind of hit most of the major questions. If I didn't get to your question, again, please email support@altostrading.com. We're here to help you. Even if you don't buy the TradeTrend package or didn't get in on one of the 20 spots, that doesn't mean that you can't contact us and ask for our help. That's what we're here for. So please reach out. And again, TradeTrendLive.com will get you access to our software and our coaching and everything you see on your screen here. So with that, I'll pass it back over to Raleigh and Jeanette.
Hey, that's great. And Jeff, thank you so much for a terrific presentation. I think pretty clear cut how you use the MACD to basically predict what's going on in the market. I know we all appreciated that you went back and showed some of the historical charts back on some of the events that occurred that were significant in the market and how the indicators basically forewarned what was going to be happening. So awesome job there. I think everybody appreciated that. A lot of activity on the question panel here. I know there's several people that are taking you up on your offers. A lot of questions about which platforms you work with. I think you're fairly comprehensive. Thinkorswim and several others. Folks, I would just recommend you just follow up with him on that, and he'll be able to answer all of your questions. He's going to hang around, and he'll address some of the questions that are in the Q&A and on the chat panel.